Thank you for joining me this week as we do a little bit more review. This week I'd like to look at fractions again. I know we've talked a lot about fractions this year, but I really feel like it's important for us to really solidify this concept. So I wanted to look at it again. So just a few things I wanted to review with you. First, let's look at the different parts of a fraction. So if you remember, the top number in a fraction is called the numerator. All right, and the bottom number is called a denominator. Now the denominator tells us in our whole how many equal pieces it is split up into. So for example, in this fraction, 4/6, our denominator is telling us that our whole was split into 6 equal pieces. And here we can see that our whole was split into 3 equal pieces, all right? Now the top number, as you remember, the numerator tells us how many of those pieces we're going to be looking at, or we want to take away, or we want to use. Okay, so for example, here we're using 1, 2, 3, 4 of these pieces. Here we're using 1 of these pieces. And these are the different things that you need in order to compare your fractions, right? So if we're looking at 4/6 and 1/3 and we're trying to decide which one is bigger or greater, what we want to look at is, okay, first of all, we're going to look at the number of pieces. So these pieces are bigger because this whole is only split into 3 equal pieces and this whole is split into 6 pieces. So these pieces are bigger, but you don't want to just count on that. You also want to look at the numerator and see how many of those pieces we're looking at comparing. Here we're looking at 4, here we're looking at 1. So as you can see, this circle, this hole, has more of it that is filled in. We're looking at more of it than we are with this one. So what that means is 4/6 is greater than 1/3. So this week, what you can do is you can look at fractions. I've got a fun activity that you can do, or if there's something else math related that you'd really like to look at instead and you feel like that's more important that you look at that, go ahead and do that. Or you can do the interactive item for this week, which will be looking at fractions. And I just hope that you have a great week and review what you need to.